Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Tony Plays The Binding of Isaac. Hope everyone's doing good, everyone's chilling, going about their day nice and lovely. Today, we're gonna take on the same guy. I just want to get him done. I'm gonna be real with you. A part of me is slightly upset that I keep kind of losing these runs. So, we're just gonna try and get him done. Granted, am I really that upset in the grand scheme of things? Not really. Gives me more, things. It essentially extends this series, dare I say. Because this series kind of had its natural end, if I'm gonna be honest, if I ever completed everything in this save file. Either the day that I decide I'm not gonna upload this anymore, or the day that I kind of unlock everything. I'm probably gonna continue to do a few runs after that, but for the most part, I think an internal drive in me is gonna slowly die down a little bit. You know what I mean? Granted, I've also never, out of all of my Isaac playtime, I've never completed a single save file with everything unlocked and death certificate unlocked. So, you know, we got something to look forward to. We don't worry, the series isn't ending anytime soon, from the sounds of it. However, it's just something that's real and true. Anyways, hope y'all are doing well. I'm doing pretty okay. Very excited because today I'm recording this. Many, in my opinion, really cool things were announced and shown. So, for the unaware, September 24th was the day for Tokyo Game Show. No, not Tokyo Game Show, but PlayStation's State of Play, the Sony State of Play. And so we got to see a few things for PlayStation. You know, some update regarding Final Fantasy Tactics, some Dynasty Warrior 3 remake. You know, the usual stuff. They're just kind of showing off a little bit. But the thing that I was most excited for, as someone who has not played a single Insomniac game, however, I'm a fan of the character. They did show off a new Wolverine like game, like footage. Granted, I don't think any of it was gameplay. It didn't look like gameplay footage. It just more looked so like, hey guys, we actually have more. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering. If I'm gonna be real with you, I wasn't looking at this like, oh my god, I'm seeing gameplay. It was more so like, holy crap, Wolverine. You know what I mean? So it looks really cool. If I'm gonna be real with you, it looks very cool. I am excited, especially considering I have never played a single Insomniac game. Mainly just because I'm not really that interested in Spider-Man, like kind of at all, really. But I am interested in the character of Wolverine. I think he's a cool character. So hopefully, hypercoagulation. Taking damage drops a half or full red heart, depending on how much Isaac lost. That's just what, Maggie, right? Am I tripping? Is hypercoagulation not just Maggie? Like her thing? Unaware. But overall, seemed really cool. You know, the trailer for that did seem really cool. To me, personally, that was like the most standout feature of the PlayStation State of Play, the Sony State of Play. And there was one other, I guess technically two others, but only one that I really want to yap about, because if you know me, you know I love me my zombies. This morning was the zombies gameplay footage, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it looked really good. They were showing off more of the map. It looks very interesting. I got to see more footage of the entire crew. I'm not really sure what it's gonna be called because it's not Ether. It's like a mix of Ether and Dark Ether crew, so Requiem, I guess, is the crew's name, so interesting to see what they're gonna name it. But just as a whole, if I'm gonna be real with you, just as a whole, it was great to just see more gameplay and stuff, you know? I was very excited to see all the cool stuff they have shown. It looks like, for some reason, the Origins mystery box is on the new Zombies map. Ted from Transit is on the Zombies map. We got what looks to be similar to Ascension, you know? A rocket test facility, very similar to Ascension. Is it actually Ascension? I'm gonna be real with you. It kind of didn't look like it. It looked more like the multiplayer map launch. But just as a whole, still really cool stuff, you know? I'm very excited. As a huge Zombies fan, I'm very excited. And so I was happy to see all that. I'm gonna be real with you. I was very happy to see all that. I thought it was very cool. I got my eye on it, and I just honestly, man, I cannot wait. I watched the Mr. Waffles video. One, I saw the trailer myself, but two, there was a Mr. Waffles video that had gone up pretty much going over a whole bunch of things coming and whatnot. So new augments for everything, old perk augments and stuff are transferring over. So like, say I've maxed out my quick revive augment in BO6, that's transferring over to BO7, so I don't have to re-max it out. I just have to regain the new 2 augment, the 1 minor, the 1 major. If I'm gonna be real with you, as a whole, it was very, very cool. I was interested. I just ran into him for some reason. Am I stupid? Is bro a moron? Why did he do that? So if I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all, I'm very excited, alright? Your boy is excited for Zombies. First time in a while, because it also they have what appears to be something the community has been asking / begging for a long time. Now, I will voice my concerns because I feel like with every bit of good news and stuff like that received, you kind of gotta have someone playing devil's advocate, you know, just to kind of see the other side in this instance. And the other side for me is gonna be, that was awful, bro. That was actually, I think, the worst damage I've taken in a minute. Oh, lighter's so good too, man. It's such a peak item. I'm not even joking. The ability to potentially walk into a room and have every enemy already weakened is like, you can't pass that up, bro. Lighter is such a good item. It's such a good trinket. I'm not gonna let it go. We're gonna move on with it. But to play a little bit of devil's advocate, okay? If I'm gonna be completely honest with you, it's very interesting and it's cool to me that they're gonna have a mode called the Cursed mode that is essentially unlocked after you beat your Easter egg on the standard mode, and you unlock, it's called relics, that's what they called it. It seems more like modifiers, you know, where you unlock like Halo skulls or modifiers, technically, pretty much, to change the gameplay. So one of them being a loadout is you no longer have a loadout when you load into the game. You just start off with a pistol. People, you know, have been asking for no loadouts for a pretty good time now. There's one where the perk limit is reduced to 4. People have been, you know, I'm gonna be real with you, I haven't heard many people asking for that back. Just because people are a fan of the whole no perk limit because you get to buy every perk. I think it's a really cool change that they added. However, if you wanted to, you can have the modifier of no perk limit, or max 4 perk limit. Other things such as no armor. What's the word I'm thinking of? I believe it was also like no weapon rarities and stuff. So kind of what it sounds like is this cursed mode with these relics, quote unquote, seems like it's gonna be like the return to form. It's for the hardcore zombies players that want the classic zombies experience. It's, hey, beat the map, unlock the relics for it, and then you can just have fun playing each map the way you want to play it. On, you know, in the game or whatever. And I'm not gonna lie to you, off rip, that sounds very, very good, you know? You're thinking to yourself like, man, like they listen to the community. We have a whole separate game mode that just kind of relives classic zombies. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really cool. I have some skepticism because one, I'm you know, playing devil's advocate. I gotta state this. I have some skepticism. One of my main reasons is it is cool that they are adding this system of classic zombies back, pretty much. However, from a design standpoint, there is not really much confirmation on if anything is being changed balanced wise in terms of catering to things such as no armor and whatnot, because there you run into the issue of the entire game. The entirety of Black Ops 6 at least was designed with no armor, or with armor in mind, you know what I mean? That was like a staple of the past few Treyarch zombies, is essentially you got armoring like Warzone. People were against it. I don't find it to be too horrible of a thing. However, you know, return to form I don't think is horrible. But, you know, for the sake of the argument, you have a game that wasn't necessarily balanced with that. At least if we're going off of the previous thing, you know, I would like to see what the balance changes are going to be in order to offset the fact that if it's just a simple modifier as, oh, you no longer have armor, you know, to make the game harder, but you're still getting murdered in like 2 hits by like round 50 zombies, even though you have Juggernaut. You know, I'm gonna be real with you, that just don't sound fun. That sounds like, man, this shit blows kind of deal. You feel me? We still gotta save it if we get the angel deal, so let's chill out. So it's that's, I'm not gonna lie and be like it scares me, because I'm excited to see, you know, the whole relic system. I'm very curious to kind of see how it's gonna evolve as the game goes on and whatnot. But just to hold this position, I hope it's not something that they just kind of added to appease to people that wanted something like this, but wasn't kind of really made with change or balance, actually how it would affect that in mind. Granted, not to say it's literally the start of a new game, not to say it's impossible for them to change systems in order to balance around this. I walked into that one. That's just bad gameplay. Stop hitting me! But just saying, that's really all I'm just saying, is I'm just trying to, you know, make the argument, make the opposition, so we can see both sides and, you know, just kind of see what's up. I'm a little worried on that sense. However, coming from the non-devil's advocate perspective, I'm optimistic that if it's something that is going to be added when the game comes out, they developed it with that in mind. You know what I mean? They haven't explicitly, as far as I'm aware, I don't think they've explicitly stated, oh yeah, we will be tuning this in order to function the proper way. However, me being an optimist, I'm going to just be, I'm just gonna think, hey man, they fucking developed the game with this in mind because it's a launch option. Why wouldn't they have also changed the way it works with these certain relic systems on? Because I'm pretty sure they're aware of the fact that, hey, this would be unfun otherwise. You know? And there actually was something. New perk being introduced. I'm very excited, you know. It's called, I think, Wisp Tea. And essentially, if you drink it, you get a small mini wisp buddy that floats around that deals damage to, what's it called? A small wisp buddy that floats around that deals damage to zombies, which is pretty cool. And I was very excited to hear, you know, you could be thinking, Tony, that sounds pretty cool, but then like say you're trying to hold a zombie or something, you know, trying to hold the last zombie alive. Oh, your little wisp buddy killed it. What the hell? I feel like it's a big oversight. Not true. Because they actually took that into account when developing it. Same thing with Brain Rot, aka Turned. In that there are now end of round protections for things like that. Now, as far as I'm aware, there is no way for the last zombie to be killed by a brain rot zombie or to become brain rotted, I believe. And your wisp will not shoot the little, you know, your wisp will not shoot the last zombie alive. Tears down, killing myself. Balls of Steel is really good. No reason to not check it out, I guess. Dude, you know, that sucks because I really, really want Sinrovs. That's unironically such a good item, but I can't grab it because I'm going Angel Deals. I would so grab Sinrovs in a heartbeat too, man. God damn it. Let's stop taking damage, eh? I feel like I've been sucking really bad right now. Let's just stop taking damage, you feel me? That's probably not there. Unless... No, definitely not there. So I'm interested, you know? I'm very excited. I am optimistic. Maybe unrightfully so, but that's just how I am as a person, you know what I mean? I don't like to see the negative in everything all the fucking time. I am simply just a guy who plays video games, and I'm not a negative Nancy about every fucking thing on planet Earth, you know? I say everything on planet Earth because there are some things I feel like I'm pretty negative about. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there, you know? So besides that, really, just exciting for me as a zombies player. Exciting updates, you know, probably all the diehard fans are excited about a potential return to classic zombies with that game mode. It does seem cool, I'll be real with you. It does seem very cool. I'm happy for y'all. Will I be playing it all the time? Probably not, I'm gonna be real with you. I probably will play it for a little bit, but I'm not gonna be using this cursed mode every single chance I can get just because, I mean, I kind of like modern zombies to a degree. If I'm feeling down for some old zombies, I'll try, you know, I'll try it. I'll try and see how it is, but I wanted to play Black Ops 7 so I could play Black Ops 7 maps with you know, it designed in mind Black Ops 7 mechanics. Now, is that to say I'm never gonna try it, or Tony, you seem pretty negative against it, you know, you seem pretty anti-curse mode? Not at all. Honestly, whatever just makes the community happy, bro. If I'm gonna be real with you, whatever makes the community happy, whatever keeps the fandom alive, man, so be it. And it's just so, it's so funny, slash, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's so funny to me. I forgot what I was even looking at. I was just like scrolling randomly and I got a post in my feed. It was some information, I think, regarding the whole like cursed mode thing or whatever. And some dude replied to it. I think the guy who like originally did the leak or something because it was leaked yesterday before it was officially announced today. If I remember correctly, someone had made some zombies announcement and then literally proceeded to quote tweet their own post regarding zombies and was like, damn, I didn't know zombies had shooters like that. Which is very funny because, I mean, dude, I love zombies. I'm a huge fan of COD Zombies. You guys are very much aware of this. You don't need me to spew my stupidity for you guys to know. Like, this man, he loves glazing COD Zombies. So not using that shit. It's exciting to me. It's exciting to me to see that there are still people out there that are, you know, heavy for zombies and they want to see the mode succeed. They just want either A, what's best, or B, what they think is best for the mode. Is that actually turn out to be true sometimes? I'm be real with you, probably not. It's always very funny though to see those posts where it's like, guys, me, some rando on the internet, I have found the thing that's gonna save zombies. You just need to make these simple changes, and it's like the worst shit you could ever imagine. You know what I mean? It is funny seeing those kinds of posts, I will say. However, it's also good that they're listening to the community, because from what I remember, watching the Milo interview with Joey Conway, which is I think just not just because like Joey Conway goated, but his editor slash some what's the word I'm thinking of? Maybe not editor, good friend, or maybe he had some videos, fellow commentator on some of his videos. I'll say that. Definitely, like, he has sat in for Milo on certain videos. But pretty much, in his interview with him, had essentially been like, yeah, when I played at Treyarch before, the whole Wisp T killing the last zombie was an issue that I had brought up to Treyarch as like something that could potentially be bad. And Treyarch had in their call, like summit, whatever, where they had gone over everything, they had essentially been like, hey, by the way, this thing that Milo had addressed or whatever, we took a look at it and made sure there were, protections for end of round. What's it called? Which is great to hear. Directly straight from the horse's mouth, hearing, we have listened to a content creator in this community who is very vocal about their concerns, like, all the time. Now, granted, this does bring up the age-old debate, I will say. This does bring up the age-old debate of listening to content creators versus other people. However, I'm not here to, like, participate in that debate, you know what I mean? I'm simply here to relay the info that I heard. Although I'll weigh in on my opinion, because I think it's it's my YouTube video. I can do whatever the fuck I want, I guess. I find it weird, interesting. I think definitely interesting might be the better term I'm using for this scenario here. But I find it really interesting, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It sounds mean to say, I guess, the amount of people that care, but the amount of people that maybe might overestimate certain aspects, you know what I mean, of this whole deal. Because if I'm going to be honest with you, there is one thing that immediately comes to mind. Because this is something that has been voiced concern for a long time, and that was Destiny. So many times throughout Destiny's lifespan have there been people that are like, no, you gotta listen to these group, you gotta listen to this group, you gotta listen to this group. You can't always only listen to the content creators. They make a living off of this game. What about the average person who only plays this? And then that's where the whole like Destiny circle jerk joke came from, where it's like, I can only play this game 2 minutes a week while I'm taking care of like my 80-hour work week and my like 8 children, you know what I mean? I can understand the joke, what it's poking fun at, because if I'm gonna be honest with you, it might be a sort of controversial opinion. In the gaming sense, it might be controversial. I'm not gonna start saying some crazy shit, but it might be a slight controversial opinion. But I'm gonna be real with you, I feel like some games aren't for everybody, you know what I mean? If Destiny isn't catering, or, you know, people who are only allowed or able to play, like, what? I'm gonna be real with you, like an hour a week of Destiny or something, I'm gonna be honest with you, man, it's kind of like maybe this game just isn't for you. And I know it's that sort of like, you can't just exclude, you know, your fans or whatever. And it's like, I understand, you know what I mean? I understand. You definitely can't exclude everyone from your game, otherwise no one's gonna want to play your game. However, you also can't be out here trying to cater to the people that kind of have insanely little playtime, you know what I mean, or play availability, because it's, what's the word I'm thinking of, man? You know what I mean? It makes certain things lose their luster or whatever, kind of. You kind of feel what I'm talking about or whatever? Maybe not. Like I said, it might be a controversial statement, and I kind of feel like some of it is. Just because saying that, you know, if you play this game or if you buy this game, like, you're not entitled to doing everything in the game if you don't have the time to be playing it, you know what I mean? I think you should be playing like Stardew Valley or something, bro, low-key. Now there's anything wrong with Stardew Valley, because that's a good-ass game. Recently reinstalled it. I've been very excited to play. I love Stardew Valley, man. Such a good game. And I decided to install a mod on it. It was, I believe, called, like, Stardew Valley Enhanced, you know. I'm very interested. I'm excited to see how the game's gonna be. You know what? Let's fight, and then if anything, we can always full card out. My bad, I'm trying to lock in a little bit. But essentially, I feel like I was speaking a lot, but not like explaining a lot for a bit there. Essentially, there was definitely a point in time in Destiny's life cycle I can 100% vouch for as someone who is a very large fan of the game. And I play a crap ton of Destiny. Not anymore, because, you know, I voice my opinions on the game now. But I used to play a lot, and I mean a lot of Destiny, probably an unhealthy amount. But as someone who has used to play this unhealthy amount, you know, I've kind of experienced the game low-key from a bit of both ends. I've experienced the game from only being allowed to play during a certain amount of time because of either A, school, and my parents not wanting me to be on the game all the time, or B, work, when I was still working at a other location. You know, because I had work and like college at the same time, so I kind of had little to no time for anything. So as someone who has played the game from kind of both sides of being A, an unemployed loser who has nothing but time to spend on the game, and B, someone who has not much time to spend on the game, I'm gonna be honest with you, kind of controversial opinion, but the game I think was better when it catered more towards the hardcore audience, the hardcore fan sort of deal. And I think that kind of only really exists in the vacuum of this game being a hardcore game. I think Destiny gets the praise and the greatness it gets as for being a hardcore game when it's kind of at its most exclusionary, I guess, to a degree. You know what I mean? People love Trials of Osiris, you know? At least when it came out in Destiny 1, people loved Trials of Osiris. They saw it as something great to strive for, you know? It was like the kind of true competitive aspect of Destiny for the longest time, because that game itself didn't have a ranked mode. It was something that was so great about Destiny that people, what's the word I'm thinking of? You know, people out here were trying to make tournaments and stuff like that with it. Same thing goes for like the kind of higher end content. People loved the fact that the hardest of the hard stuff was the key to getting some of the rarest and like coolest end game content in the game, you know, with Grandmasters. At least that's how I felt about Grandmasters, and that's how people I played with felt about Grandmasters, is they liked doing it because it was content not everyone could get. It was kind of only really for that hardcore aspect, you know? Redrix's Claymore, Redrix's Claymore, bro. Back when it was the Claymore and not the broadsword. Because of the fact that it was a crazy hard competitive grind to get Redrix's Claymore, it felt amazing for the people who got it, and they were rewarded with an insanely good pulse rifle. However, then they started, you know, catering towards the people who were upset at the fact that it was such an exclusionary thing and so hard to get to, that they made different changes. You know, they made it so they kind of re-released the Claymore, called it Redrix's Broadsword, and it had a way easier quest line. People with Redrix's Claymore didn't feel as, what's the word I'm thinking of anymore, you know what I mean? The only satisfaction they had from having that weapon was the fact that it was called a different name, but it literally had like almost nearly identical stats and the same exact perk pool. You got Outlaw with Desperado on it. It was a set roll weapon, but it was the only weapon to have the ability to roll with this perk called Desperado. And it was, I'm gonna be real with you, for all intents and purposes, a sick ass perk, if I'm gonna be honest with you. And the fact that it was exclusionary to this one weapon that you had to grind your ass off for made it, in my opinion, super fucking cool. However, then you got Redrix's Broadsword coming out. Then you have the Messenger coming out, which can also roll with that. And every single aspect that made Redrix's Claymore an exclusive, cool, hardcore only weapon was then starting to be pulled into the casual sort of sense people. You know what I mean? I think in a game like Destiny, where it's not necessarily a looter shooter at heart, you know, you're not, ow, I just hit the fuck out of my ankle. It's not, you know, you're not out here farming bosses for specific weapons the way you are in Borderlands or whatever. But you do get new weapons with, you know, random rolls and stuff. And you're trying your best to do all the good end game content. You know, it's got the MMO sense. I feel like there is something good in catering to the people that want to put time into your game, you know what I mean? If you put things in the game for people that will spend time on it and achieve it, they're gonna feel great, bro. They're gonna be like, this is sick that, like, I'm one of the only people that can get this or something like that, you know what I mean? It felt great being one of the, I'm not gonna say the first few because I don't think there were any metrics given for this, but the first person out of everyone I know that played Destiny, all right? I used to have a crap ton of friends on Destiny because that's just the nature of the game. When you're doing raids and random trials with people online, you get a large friends list playing Destiny. Someone who had a very large friends list and an actual like very large group of people that I consistently played with, you know, my uncle, my brother, friends. It felt amazing to be the first person out of everyone I knew to get Luna's Howl, you know what I mean? That sense of getting this prestigious item that was locked behind a crap ton of hard like content and challenges, getting that felt amazing. It felt special. But I'm gonna be real with you, there's not really much in Destiny now that gets me feeling that way of, hey, I did this hard thing, I got this exclusive item, because there's probably A, something better, or B, something with the same exact role that's in a way easier place to obtain, you know what I mean? I'll just say, I feel like Destiny should lean more into its MMO aspect, and as unfortunate as it is to say, it should lean more into the harder core audience than trying to cater to everyone to play the game. Does not to say ignore new player, mechanics, because I gotta be honest with you, Destiny has, I think, the worst introduction to playing the game ever. It's a free-to-play game, but once you boot it up, you have nothing to do, bro. There's no missions to do. It is complete, I'm gonna be real with you, Destiny fucking sucks for a new player. Unironically, it might be one of the worst MMOs a new player can try and play. It is horrible. It's dog shit, bro. Whether that be the company's greed or some other, aspect, I don't know. But it is genuinely bad, bro. Do not play Destiny if you are not willing to put the time, money, and effort into playing that game. Stay clear of Destiny, bro. As a free-to-play player, stay clear of Destiny because there is nothing for you to do. It is genuinely baffling how they decided to ever make that change and not cater towards it in any aspect. And the new player experience is horrible. It just drops you in and it's kind of like, oh, we'll explain this to you. It's kind of like trying to learn a new fighting game, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it'll drop you into the game and it'll be like, oh, you see these moves right here, these are gonna be your really good moves because they're like plus on block, Or this move provides, like doing this string of combo provides a safe jump in. But they're not explaining, what does plus on block mean? What do you mean plus, what do you mean jump in? Safe jump in? What are you talking about? They're not explaining anything to you, man. They're just throwing words at you and expecting you to kind of just know what's up. It is a horrible experience for new players. And pretty much, not to say ignore new players, get new players into your game by making it fun, explaining things and making it easy for them to kind of get the gist of the game. But also, kind of, add things to that end game that make people want to keep playing, you know what I mean? Make exclusive things that only the hardest of the hard content unlocks because you'll want people to get that. I don't know, just my thoughts. Anyways, I want to thank y'all for watching. If you guys did enjoy, greatly appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good day and or good night, depending on time reviewing this. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.